in, I'm gonna throw a 2, 1, and I'm gonna come over the top.
Okay, sweet. Episode 24. We're back. It's Wednesday, and I'm here with my longtime coach, probably since I was 22 years old. Moved from Team Quest in Portland. I was training there. Mariah and her family moved down here to start a weed company, and I just kind of Googled MMA gyms, AZ. The Lab popped up first, and then another one, I think it was Ryan Bader and CB Dollaway's at the time. Power MMA popped up. But then I saw Benson was the champion at the time. Came down, talked to Crouch. He welcomed me in. And then the first day I got to spar Benson. And after that first day, I was like, dude, I got to be here. The champ pretty much in my weight classes here training. And, just been in Phoenix now for, 8, 9, 10 years. And, yeah, it's been pretty sweet.
It's been a while. You know what's funny about that? As I remember met you, cool, oh yeah, you were fighting in Bellator at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh yeah, come on in. And then the sparring day was kind of light for 55ers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, shit, man, this guy just walked in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw him in there with Ben. He's going to think I'm trying to kill him. But you were great, and it was a good round, and it was a good start for sure.
Yeah. We were just talking about it coming in, like the COVID shit. Like literally every student at my gym got it.
Yeah.
Like every single one got the fucking COVID. We were just in LA this weekend, and it was crazy. They were trying to force you to show Vax cards to get into restaurants and go anywhere. But then like once they found out it was sugar, they're like, oh yeah, whatever, let them in. I'm like, it's crazy. But you've been dealing with the shit too, huh?
Oh man. I mean, the whole world, right? Like
yeah.
Every gym, it's got to be our worst nightmare. But anymore with this, I mean, not to get super political about it, but everybody's getting this shit anyway. Mm-hmm. We're all going to get it. Doesn't matter who you are, it's coming for you. And the more we get through it, the better it's going to be. I mean, the vaccines haven't helped. The mask restrictions haven't helped. It keeps spreading regardless. So, and with our business, we're face-to-face. There's no 6 feet between human beings in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So it's been, the students have been real good. If they feel like they're getting sick, they stay away a couple weeks, and we help them out with that. So it's been great, but yeah, everybody's got it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It has been.
You ran one of probably the best programs, like the MMA Lab, ran one of the best professional programs for years. And like most of the gyms I've been around, it's rare that teams stick around that long. You know what I mean? When I was there was probably 15 current, maybe even 20 current UFC fighters training there. And I always bring it up to people. Kids are always asking me, is 21 too early to start jiu-jitsu? Is 22 too early? I'm like, dude, Crouch started jiu-jitsu at 35 years old with no previous experience. Like no wrestling, no nothing. Now he runs one of the biggest gyms in the world. So I love using you as an example. It's pretty fucking awesome because you started you started as a band leader, right? Or orchestrator.
Yeah.
Or what's the word?
Like a choreographer, I guess,
okay.
Or designer.
Yeah.
I was the guy that put the designs on the field to the music and helped pick shows and stuff. So I did that in high school, and then I was a music major in college. And I played football, I did wrestle a little bit, just enough to be terrible when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And boxed a little bit when I was a kid. So I always liked martial arts. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really get started in it till later. I was 26 or 27. My mom got me a taekwondo membership, me and my girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. And that guy started teaching. He went to the Gracie Academy and started taking their, I think it was called Grapple. Anyway, it's the law enforcement portion of their program. He started showing jiu-jitsu when he came back home, and I just loved it. And then after that, I was hooked, and I moved to LA for 6 years or so, trained with the Gracies, and then moved back to Colorado as a purple belt and started my own school.
So trained at the Gracie Academy for how long?
6 years. I mean, I'm still under Hoist. He's given me every belt that I have.
Mm-hmm.
He's promoted me every time. So, I'm still affiliated with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there physically in LA for 6 years.
So where did your leadership qualities come from? Did they come from? Yeah, where did they come from?
I always felt comfortable in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a kid, like in high school, I was the drum major of our marching band, and my band director was the only dude, right? So we had almost 300 people in our band.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd put me in charge of teaching the other groups. And when I played football, I helped coach youth football as well. So I always had an interest in coaching and doing that stuff. So I kind of feel it was like in my nature,
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to the Gracie Academy, Horian Gracie is one of the great teachers I've ever seen in anything, coaches, teachers, whatever. And he really inspired me, and he was a great role model as far as following an instructor, a teacher,
Mm-hmm. So he was one of your I was going to ask you that, one of your big mentors that you looked up to kind of run a program, because it's not easy talking to a big group of people. And forever, like I've been here, you've been so good at that and super connecting to the group or whatever, and that's pretty cool. And you learned most of that from Horian?
I think some of that's natural. Would you say? How do you feel in front of a crowd? Do you feel comfortable?
A little bit, because I know they all respect me, but it's still I'm still just working on it,
Yeah. I see you speak, and I don't feel like you do a good job in front of the class, Obviously, we haven't been as closely connected. I don't see you every day, but it was pretty natural for you. And so say like Benson will coach, or, how the guys would help in practice. I think it's something that's in your nature. There's people that go up there and freeze.
Yeah.
And it just never was for me. But his style of teaching and his methodology and the way he approached it, I loved that. It was like a magic show every time he taught. Like he'd show a detail and go, and then you grab here, and I'd be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
And you could see the class react, like physically react, and that's something I liked. And so, making that entertaining and fun for my students and for the fight team too, because you know what a grind that can be.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so it's important for me that it be a fun process for everybody.
Mm-hmm. So what year was this where you were a purple belt, moved to Colorado? And because most people wouldn't have really the confidence to be like, okay, I'm going to run a school, but maybe training at the Gracie Academy, they taught you how to run a school, did they?
No, I was terrible at it. Teaching classes, I feel like I was good. I liked it. But that first little place I ran, it didn't go good. We didn't make any money, but I was trying to work on the side to pay for the place, when really, you just need to bury yourself in your whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like you need to pull the ripcord and go.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was nervous. Like, oh shoot, I have to pay this much money, so I better keep these other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that it kind of didn't work. So we ended up being a club and moved to. We've trained at a taekwondo school. We trained at a boxing school. Maybe it's just 3 locations. But in Colorado, we moved. And you know how that is. We didn't really get along with those guys after a while.
Mm-hmm.
You start rubbing against each other. And it wasn't until I came to the lab. My good friend Jason Beck started the lab in Arizona. And somehow, I don't remember, but we had crossed paths. He's like, I started a school. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, we're boys. Why don't you call me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you were happy in Colorado. And he brought me down for their grand opening. And I loved it. And he hired me, and that was it. And that's where I learned from him kind of how to start running a business more than just teaching classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Colorado, you were at one of these gyms. You were renting your own place. When did Benson roll in?
We were at Delgado's boxing school in Denver. We were in this upstairs room. Part of his family lived in a little adjacent apartment. It was kind of wacky. And Leister, remember Leister Bowling? He was the head coach at Altitude. Great guy, great coach. Well, he had gone to college with Alvin Robinson. They went to, I believe it was Southern Colorado, and they had canceled their wrestling program. And they were both there. And then Alvin moved up to where I was, and I met him that summer. So he came in right as I opened my first place. And we were great friends, and he had great success. And he was my first fighter ever. Mm-hmm. I had not even thought about coaching MMA. And then Leister knew Alvin, and then Leister went to Dana College in Blair, Nebraska, and Ben was his teammate. And when Ben said he wanted to fight, Leister said, "Hey, I know a guy. You like Alvin Robinson?" Alvin was in the UFC at the time.
Because what year is this? 2007?
Yeah.
7-ish?
We moved here in 2007, I think. I've been here my son will be 15 years in November. I'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts us at 7. So it was probably 2004, 2005, 6-ish. And so then Benson drove down on the weekends, took a couple of jiu-jitsu classes. That's how we started. April 15th on tax day. He remembers this. He reminded me the other day. It'll be 15 years that we've been working together.
Damn, that's freaking awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
It's awesome. Well, because how many members does the lab have now?
750-ish.
That's fucking insane. So, like, at what point was it like, okay, I fucking don't know all these people by name? Like, I have, I think, maybe a little over 100, and I'm doing okay at it. Like, I memorize their names. How do you go about that? Well, now we have so many different coaches for different groups.
Yeah. Especially, in jiu-jitsu, I think I know everybody's name.
Mm.
So there's 300 people, 400 people.
That's impressive.
But I mean, I forget them now. I'm old as hell, so my memory's not what it used to be. It used to be better. But I try really hard. If I don't remember, like literally, if I see you and I go, "Hey, brother, how's it going?" Good, huh? Everything's going good. I go to the computer and look you up and be like, "Dang, I can't believe I forgot Tim's name."
Mm.
So that's one of the things that Horian pounded home to us. And I've really taken to heart. It's important is learning your student's name. Because just that effort, the connection you make, that basic human connection is super important.
Yeah, I remember you've always been good at that, and I took that to my gym too, and it's helped me connect with them better for sure. But yeah, just being a leader of that, especially fighters, but even being leaders in different areas. Like imagine being a leader as a brain surgeon.
That's some serious pressure.
Where 10 hours you have to be focused on millimeters of just like, and then you don't have your team. Oh, I can't even fucking imagine being a leader in that aspect.
Well, and I think as they go through, I don't know for sure, but they develop their team and relationships. Like you and I feel super close. I'm your anesthesiologist. Like, man, I got to have Crouch work with me. And so then you find guys like that you can really trust, and you start to build bonds, because in a situation like that, I mean, it doesn't get much higher stress than that. You know what I mean? That one little kick, and that's it.
Dead.
You jacked it up.
Yep.
So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that must be some serious. You bond together. We have gone to fights together. Things have gone good and gone bad, and our friendship has grown because of it. It has grown closer, right? Like you and Sugar, you guys are brothers.
Yeah.
You've been through the highs and lows of it together. So imagine those situations. It's even heightened.
And especially if you got a surgeon who's kind of a dickhead, and you give him the wrong tool and he fucking freaks out. I remember getting my jaw when I was coming out of the surgery, getting my jaw wired. The guy was yelling. He was like jerking my face around. He was yelling at one of the other girls.
Was he?
I was like, holy shit. And I asked him about it. They're like, yeah, he does that sometimes.
Did this not go well?
Yeah.
That guy was screaming up a storm.
Yeah, one thing I thought that's always been good about the lab, but I don't think other places do, is if you want on the professional team at the lab, you're going to really hold them accountable. If they miss, then you're going to text them. Like for me, I have some good athletes at my gym, and then they stop coming, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to text you.
No.
Because it's like, if you want to be good and if you want to do what you say you want to do, you're going to be in here without me having to just be over your shoulder all the time. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I think that's smarter than what I do. Because you know how motivated you have to be.
Yeah.
Your coach yelling at you, like people I think about this all the time when I see corners. And people are so judgmental from the outside. And really, I have no idea. Like, I've been doing this a long time, but if I listen to you talk to Sugar, that's maybe not accurate. But let's say I watch some other coach, because I've been around you guys a little bit. So I maybe have a little better understanding, just a little bit. But even then, I'm not there. But some other coach, and he's saying certain things to his guy, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I wouldn't say that. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Well, I don't know what their relationship is. Yeah. What pushes that person's buttons, right? What have you gone through in practices or in life? And then if you say this, they're going to respond. And that's not my place. So I feel like I shouldn't be motivating that guy. People love that corner moment where everybody's yelling and screaming. They get all excited. Oh, that guy, he's the best corner because he said something crazy. Well, he might not necessarily be, you know. So I feel like it's not the motivation has to come from the athlete. It can't come from the coach. You're there to remind him and help him. But if you're doing it the right way, if the guy's not motivated enough to show up to practice, well, then see you later.
Yeah.
What am I going to do for you? It's only going to last this long if I'm doing it. If you do it, it's going to last as long as you love it.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm just such a Jewish grandmother inside. Like it pisses me off. So if you're getting ready for a fight and Ben doesn't show up, you came to the gym so that Ben could help you. You could help him. So I text his ass, hey, man, you should be here to help Tim. And now he feels a different set of obligations too. Like he loses himself in the culture of it, which I think is important. And he feels like he's investing in you. In return, you feel like, man, he really helped me. I'm going to be there for him. Because how many gyms have you heard of where a guy has a camp and nobody's there for them?
Yeah.
Right? And then the next guy comes in and the first guy's like, well, that guy didn't help me. Why would I waste my time? I'm not going to take time off of work away from my family to help you when you didn't care enough about me.
Yeah.
So my motivation is mostly that. I want people to invest in the culture of helping each other.
Yeah, and that's what the lab's always been good about. You're always going to have good sparring.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of there for each other. If they're not in fight camp, well, another person's in fight camp. You're there helping them out.
You remember Victor used to be always busted up? Victor Meza. I love Vic more than anything because he would literally be laying on the side just trashed. And be like, hey, Ben needs another round. And I'd start strapping up his shin pads, put on his gloves.
Yeah.
And he'd jump in there to take that ass whooping because he knew, he loved his brother,
How many people out of, say, 100 come in and say, hey, I want to be a fighter and I want to be a jiu-jitsu champion?
Too many.
I haven't been a coach that long and just, too many. And I take it and I want to believe it. But it's just you can't believe it.
Well, you've seen a lot, and you're kind of, for me, it was, I believed it for a long time. And then they just don't show up. The rule at the lab, I want to be on the fight team. Okay, we'll show up so much that I'm tired of seeing you, and then you'll have a good chance.
Yeah.
And they can't do it. People can't stay consistent. The secret to success. Look at this thing. You guys have been banging away at this. It's turned into this cool thing. You guys do a great job. It's because you worked at it hard over a consistent amount of time. If you did it for a week and you're like, oh, there's no money in this yet, I better do something else.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not going to work. So the same thing with your fight career. I mean, it could be as far as your relationships with your wife, your kids, your friends. If you're not going to invest over time, you're not going to get any of the rewards back from it.
Yeah. I think that's where jiu-jitsu kind of helps a lot. You'd be like, if you get your black belt in jiu-jitsu, be like, okay, to get really good at something, now I kind of know what it takes.
Yeah.
It's not this half-ass effort. I can do it here once in a while, but and if you really want to get good at something, you'd be like, fuck, I want to get good at that, but I know what it takes, so I'm going to stay away from that.
I agree. I mean, how long did it take you? You got your black belt pretty quick. You're kind of not quick, but you were a good study and you were always good at grappling, How long did it take you?
Well, I started, like I said, started learning from a Taekwondo teacher too when I was 18, a blue belt. And I started, when I was 18, so 10 years.
Yeah, which is pretty common. But had you been training with Tenkyo?
Yeah, 6 years mostly, 7 years was mostly fighting in MMA, so jiu-jitsu 2-3 times a week.
Yeah. And you were a good athlete and focused at it. And I took about, 11 years, traveling back and forth. I wasn't with my instructor when I was a purple belt, so maybe a little longer, but I'm not any special shakes at jiu-jitsu. But to commit to something for that amount of time, that's amazing.
Yeah.
For 8 years, let's say it was 8 years for you, even just 2, 3, 4 times a week, saying you're going to keep doing this. That's amazing and not common at all in our culture today.
Yeah, and I think it's just being passionate about it. I just love being in the room with the boys, having a goofy time, trying to fuck each other up. I just love practice.
Yeah,
a lot. I love being in there and just growing from practice. So right now, big fights coming up. Got Jared Cannonier. He's on what date is he?
February 12th.
February 12th in Houston. So he's on the same card as Kyler.
Yes, sir.
Damn, hell yeah.
I'm excited about those.
How about Mario Bautista? Is he healing up?
On the 19th, he fights the 19th.
Of Feb.
Yep.
Sweet.
1 week after. And he's doing great, feeling good, chest all healed up, and practicing hard, been helping all the other guys get ready, so he's doing good.
Hell yeah. Because now in the room you probably have how many professionals training at once? I saw a story yesterday. There was probably 25, 30 guys in the room.
Yeah, I think yesterday there was 35. Some of those are amateurs, but serious amateurs that are trying to become professionals. So, I mean, you know, some days we have 50 in there when Javi's team comes down to train. So I'd say that's normal. Probably 30, 35 is a normal day.
And how do you, like, because now Benson's starting to get a little bit older, has his babies now. How have you, like, made other people leaders and influenced them to become leaders?
Again, I feel like that's sort of your nature, right? You step into the void and want to. Somebody like David Machado is a really good leader, but he doesn't relish that position. There are people that want to be. Oh, I want to be the leader. Not really people that want to be the leader aren't necessarily the best leaders. And David has become a great coach and stepped into the void, and that's just by leading. That's how Ben got to be a leader. He just led by example. Yeah,
which with Benson is like, I think everyone who's trained in the room with Benson, especially during the time he was champion, it was like, is this guy human?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't fucking stop. He's just, everyone that's been in the room with him has learned so much, like more than I've ever. Besides, like, Taquinho, when he was getting ready for the ADCC, that was another one I was like, Jesus, so that's what it takes.
Yeah.
But, man, how awesome is it to run into someone like Benson almost as your first fighter to kind of set the standard for everyone. And then now you guys have attracted so many high-level pros, and it just makes the room so fucking strong.
Yeah. I believe that the culture is the most important thing. So that came from two things. Me kind of directing, and then having somebody believe in that direction enough.
Yeah.
That they were willing to do whatever it took, you know? And that was Ben. So when we were young at this, I hadn't really done it a bunch, you know, when, I don't know, like Efren, I think Alvin was my first UFC, and we started from zero. Like, it was us in a jiu-jitsu gym, and he had one of my jiu-jitsu guys was an ex-boxing coach, and that's how we made it to the UFC. And his sparring partners were like two jiu-jitsu guys that just were willing to get punched. And we fought Kenny Florian, we fought Nate Diaz, and then Benson came along, and then we moved to the lab, and it all kind of just popped up from there. When we moved to the lab, Arizona has always had a really rich MMA history.
Yeah.
You know, like from Don Fry, you know, Kerr, all those guys. They've been doing it forever. And then ACS was really big when we came down, and they had Bader and all those guys that had been on the Ultimate Fighter. Yep. Made a big splash. Efren was here. So Effie, after Ben started, Efren, well, Yachty and Vic moved over, and Efren came over. So Effie was my first UFC fighter besides Ben or Alvin, and that was it just built from Ben being the champ. You know, you loved it when you got to train with him. Everybody loves Ben, so that's when that thing just started to explode. Yeah,
and someone like Benson wasn't like, oh, what else can I do? Question everything. He's just like, no, I'm gonna believe in the fucking program.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna do it. Put my head down and just do it. He's one of like the best examples of that.
Well, you know, Effie's pretty energetic. Like, he's a social dude. He's a talker, you know, like he followed Ben, you know, like Ben just was quiet. When I moved to Arizona, we had Joe Veras was a UFC fighter, and we kind of inherited him. Great guy. He lost to Corey Anderson. Remember that 6'4"? Dude broke his leg in one of his fights. Anyway, he's a wrestler. He's a huge guy. Was on the Ultimate Fighter, and he fought him, and we lost. So it was these guys, kind of not my guys necessarily, but they were trying to do what we wanted to do. And then when they left, Del Hawkins and Patrick, you remember those guys at all?
I don't remember.
It was kind of before you. Anyway, they left. They stopped doing it. Joe retired. He's a principal somewhere, an AD somewhere. And I sat Ben down on the desk. I'm like, hey, man, this is your squad now. And his head just dropped to his chest like, fuck, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And he kind of said that. He's like, I'm not really wanting to do that. I go,
Because he was thinking like he'd have to talk more. Yeah.
And I told him that. I was like, you don't have to say anything. Just do what you do. Like, just work hard, show up, and do the thing. And now he's a fantastic leader, super strong. And in his vein, Mario's starting to do the same thing.
Hell yeah.
You know, like, he's quiet, but he's in the gym every day doing the right stuff.
Yep.
And there's other guys that just look at that. You know Ezra Elliott.
Yep.
Like, Ezra's a workhorse, and he just works and works. So it's kind of ingrained, and people follow the athletes that they like. You know, the guys they gravitate to.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty awesome. Pretty freaking awesome. Jay, will you pull up that card this weekend? Yeah, Francis versus Cyril this weekend. It's like, how do you even pick that fucking fight, dude?
It has the potential to end with such sudden violence if Ngannou touches you. But I think Cyril, I think he's too good. Like, he's technically too good. His feet are too good. His distance, like, he understands that striking game. And he's fought a bunch of guys that aren't Ngannou, but violent, skilled heavyweights. Yeah. That's been his whole career.
Yeah, he's one of those heavyweights that's like, man, he fucking understands his range. He bounces around like he's like almost a defensive lineman. He's that athletic. But then sometimes you see him floating his chin up there, and that's going to be Francis's little hope.
Well, and if Francis can cover that space, the thing is, Ngannou's pretty good about getting out of there. His movement is good. You know what I like?
Oh, Gane.
Gane, that's what I meant. And if Francis can cover that space, then that chin up is going to be a problem. You know what I really liked from Gane, what I saw was how he stepped in with Derek Lewis. And when he stepped in, he threw. Like, he wasn't scared. Like, his movement was strategic, it wasn't based out of nervousness. Yeah. It was to find his spots. And that really impressed me with him. And we'll see. Ngannou's a whole new. But I think he's definitely got some qualities that Derek Lewis has too. Just that explosive violence, that one punch can end your night. Mm-hmm. And so I don't feel like Gane is shaken by that at all. Mm-hmm. So I would go with him, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So you're going to go Gane by, if you had to bet on it?
I'd say decision because Francis has lasted. You know, Stipe beat him up pretty good. Mm-hmm. And he stays in there. He's a durable dude. I think the Black Beast got a little tired and just didn't want to be there anymore. Mm-hmm. I think he could have lasted longer. And he just didn't see himself winning the fight. Maybe that may be a stretch for me to say that, but that's what it felt like. I don't think Ngannou will do that. I think he'll keep going. So if there was a TKO late, it would be fourth for me, 4th to 5th. But I see that going to a decision.
Hell yeah! I'm glad I don't have to hold pads for those fucking guys.
God,
dude.
Your shoulders would be gone already.
My biceps are fucked from holding from sugar. Like,
you'd be 67 years old in your arms.
Dude, fuck that. Moreno Davison.
Gosh, that's a hard one to pick. You know, when Fgueiredo can be the bully, he's so good. Mm-hmm. He's so scary. You know, we fought him with Moraga, and he was intimidating. Not to Johnny. Really? Johnny wasn't scared, but you can tell, like, he was really wary of his power, you know. Moreno's not scared of him. Mm-hmm. And he's shown it in 2 fights that he's not scared of him. So I would pick Moreno, but I feel like Figueiredo's kind of reinvigorated and really wants to try to get it back. So we'll see how that translates to preparation, weight cut, that kind of stuff.
God, that's the thing. It's like you can it's pointless guessing in fights. It really is. It's fun just because, but it's literally pointless. You don't know what these guys are dealing with going in there.
No. And you've done that too, right? You pick a card and you feel confident. I do this for a living. I got it. And you go 1-11.
Wrong all.
You're like, what the hell is that?
Michael Pereira versus Andre Filho. I thought that was Andre Filho. Remember him, WEC?
Yeah. No, but
middleweight champ.
He was the guy that Chael Sonnen fake tapped to, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That guy was good.
Yeah.
Filho was good.
I wonder how good he would be with USADA, though.
Probably not.
Yeah. That's good. Probably not quite.
Got them special vegetables he's working on.
Yeah.
Who knows what Pereira's going to do? That guy's going to do something wacky and fun to watch, but as a disciplined fighter, I don't know. I don't know he can climb too much higher, you know?
Mm-hmm. Other than that, crazy seeing that Rodolfo get submitted by, what's his face? I forgot.
How bad a time do you think his boys gave him about that?
Dude. Or even Leo Santos.
Yeah.
Getting subbed by Clay Guida.
Oh, dude.
Holy shit. Yeah, fucking wild.
That's a quiet locker room.
Yeah.
You know, I've been some parts of some things that have happened that are bad, and you just swallow it and you go forward. That's your only choice. But those guys are freaking good at jiu-jitsu. You'd think they'd be able to stay out of a guillotine.
Yeah. Well, that's what I talked to you about years back. I'm like, God, fighting is just like, you get so connected, especially you go through fight camps with people. They do everything right. They're working so hard. You know they're working harder than that opponent. And you know they're probably better than that opponent. And you know they'd probably beat that opponent 9 out of 10 times, but that night you fail.
Yeah.
And it's a failure, and it's like athletes start questioning themselves, start questioning, what did I did wrong? It's like, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just fucking fighting.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Some guy just throws up a whopper and that's it. You're like, oh, come on.
I fucking hate it, dude. I hate it, but that's why it's kind of sweet.
Oh, shit.
Israel Whittaker, round 2.
Whittaker's going to do much better.
You think he's going to be shooting more?
I would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like he went in there with some weird energy last time. He mentioned it, and I didn't really notice. And then I saw some replays of him walking out and just how angry he was. And like he was really relying on that emotional energy.
Oh.
And when we fought him with Jared, he didn't fight like that.
Mm-hmm.
He just fought great.
Just fucking smart.
He's such a good fighter. And he's seen now some other guys fight him. And he has, I think, a better idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be a much closer fight. I love Israel. He's great. You can't. Yeah. I think it's hard to bet against him, but I think it'll be a better fight.
Yeah. And like with Jan's probably a solid 30, maybe 35 pounds bigger, and they fought in the Apex.
Yeah.
So it could be the difference. Maybe Whittaker comes out there and it's like, damn, I can't fucking catch this guy in the big cage, and he's not as easy to take down as I thought. So that's going to be a sweet one there.
Well, you know, the way Israel just lays back, like he caught Whittaker like that. He leans away, but he leaves his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So is that why Jan caught him? Like he was moving away from Jan a little bit more, I think, because of the size. And he got caught anyway. But I think if Whittaker can bait him into doing that, you're going to get into his legs or at least his body better. But yeah, Israel, I mean, he's working every day. It's not like oh, that's it, my defense is done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Sugar's wrestling and grappling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people keep going, oh, you can't fight on the ground. Well, you're looking at him 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe just throw that film away because that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And the same with Israel. I think he loves being the champion, which I think is a superpower. He digs it. That's not pressure for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that fuels him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he just is working and working. So I think it'll be hard to take him down easily.
Yeah, there's those certain athletes as it's like when those lights turn on, they're showing up every fucking time.
Yeah. And they love it.
Yeah, and they just love
Even
it.
when he had a hard time against Kelvin, right? Like Kelvin almost won that fight. Like one more punch after that head kick and Kelvin Gastelum's the world champ. And Israel standing in the corner goes, I'm ready to die here. And he was. You know, and he did. He went out there and knocked him out in the 5th round, you know, or at least took him apart in the 5th.
Did he say that? I'm ready to die here?
Yeah, that's
fucking badass.
You can see him mouth it, and I didn't know he did. I didn't know what he was saying because you know he was busted up. Mm-hmm. Like his lips were busted up and his face was busted up. That was a fight, and he's standing there, and the camera hits him. You can see him. He goes, "I'm ready to die here."
Fucking that savage, huh?
Woo! Gives me chills just talking
Dude,
about it
for
right
real.
now.
And then co-main event, our boy Kyler Phillips versus Marcelo. Do you know much about Marcelo?
Is that the co-main?
I think it was announced as a co-main too.
Oh, because I think Jared and
oh yeah, they're on there. They're right.
Jared was on here.
Huh.
I don't know. It's just on Google. They could update it later.
Yeah, I'm sure. They
oh
will.
well, yeah, Kyler. Kyler's a great fighter. I think it was a fluke though. Not a fluke. The guy did the right stuff. We got tired.
Dude, I was telling even Kyler, I'm like, he'll probably get more growth out of losing that fight than winning. Just watching Kyler in sparring, he's fucking. You can barely find people to spar with him. He's so fucking good.
Yeah, he is.
And then he just emptied his tank a little early, but
I think he thought he had him right.
Yeah,
and he just went and he started throwing big stuff and got tired and to the Brazilian kid's credit, he kept going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people were saying, "Oh, I should have stopped it." Well, obviously not.
Yeah,
the kid won the fight.
Yeah,
shouldn't have stopped it. Like he came back and fought well, but I think if Kyler fights that kid 1,000 times, he wins the next 999.
100%. Yeah, so that'll be sweet. Do you know that kid's strengths, the Marcelo Rojo?
He's just very tough, like very solid. Not as much experience on the ground, but he's strong. But he's going to stand in there. He's, tough Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
You start throwing at him, he's going to throw at you. I feel like Kyler's speed is going to be an advantage. And just, overall athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
He can, Kyler can fight anywhere. Whatever that thing goes, he's going to be fully equipped to do what he needs to do. So I'd say Marcelo's a tough guy. Like, he's going to stand in there. He's not going to go away easy. He's going to be durable and be there, which is good for us because we just fought somebody like that and didn't pass that test,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for this test.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. What was next on that one? The next card, Jay. Let's go bust him out real quick. That little Fiziev dude, he's a mean little fuck, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good.
Jesus.
Who did he just fight? He had a hell of a fight with somebody.
That Brad Riddell, his old teammate.
God dang.
Holy fuck. That was the sickest fight, 1-1-6 I've ever seen.
Oh, my gosh. Those guys beat the junk out of each other.
Yeah.
They both had a headache for a week.
And then Dariush Makhachev. You've cornered against Dariush a couple times.
Yeah.
Who you got there?
Makhachev, easy.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think it's even going to be a contest.
That's what I'm thinking. It's because it's not like Beneil's like, hey, it's so hard to take him down. He gets dumped once in a while. And once Islam gets on top, I think the biggest challenge for Islam would be someone like Charles.
Yeah, I do too. Somebody who's got that knack for catching people.
Yeah.
Like if they grab you, you're tapping.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Oliveira, right?
Yep.
Like everybody tries stuff and it's tight and people get out. Once he locks it in, it's a wrap. Like you die there. That's it.
And the way it's like he got so durable over the years to where he can just stand there with his head in one spot and just march you down. But then he does get dropped.
That's the impressive thing is that he survived those.
Yeah.
Because Chandler's power is real.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in big trouble in that first round and he survived. The heart and the resilience he showed, I was super impressed by that. In both fights, he was dropped by Poirier as well. Especially
compared to early on in his career when he's gotten in those situations, he's kind of folded.
Yeah.
But overcoming that, coming back, it's fucking awesome.
It's been pretty remarkable. When people just walk at you, they have to eat some stuff. Mm-hmm. But if they keep coming, it makes you tired. Did you see the last main event, the 45-pounders?
The Cater.
Yeah.
Calvin Cater.
Because Cater ate some hard shots. Like
we only watched the last round when we were in California.
Oh, dude. And Cater just walked at him for 25 minutes and ate some to get there and just kept coming. By the end, Giga didn't know. Like, he was just trying to get away to get some space. When those pressure fighters, and Charles is one of those, the problem is you got to eat some to get there.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep going, you're going to walk right into that range. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's been able to do that against Poirier and Chandler. Now the ultimate test of walking into range, he's going to get Gaethje, and we'll see.
Fuck. No shit.
Walk into one of those hand grenades. If you can survive that, then you can survive anything.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, last one, Masvidal versus Colby. Who you got?
Colby. Easy.
Colby's tough to fight because the way he ducks his head, you don't know if he's fucking shooting. You don't know if he's whipping an overhand. His style of fighting is just a tough one to fight.
I feel like he's getting better. He didn't start well against Usman last time, but I felt like he was doing better in the end. Like he was coming on, and Usman felt like he was ahead, and he was just going to cruise a little bit. It's hard to tell because Usman's such a great champion too, but I like Colby. I mean, I wouldn't want to have lunch with him necessarily, but as a fighter, I think he's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He's very good. And I think Jorge, has been largely a product of that knockout of Askren.
Yeah, and then beating up Nate.
Yeah. Well, but everybody beats up Nate.
Yeah.
Like, everybody beats up Nate.
You would think, because I know Jorge trains with Bo Nickel sometimes. It's like, man, you should be wrestling with him 3 times a week.
Yeah.
3 times a week. So you're just, and he probably is. Who knows what he's doing, but.
I think he is. But you know how that is, right? Like, you're a good wrestler. Mm-hmm. But if somebody from Penn State comes in and you're good for a little bit and all of a sudden they start going and you get a little tired and it changes things.
They put 3 shots in a row together. You're like, fuck, I wasn't ready for that 3rd, 4th shot.
Well, and you do good in the first round, then get a little tired. And by the 3rd round, you're not wrestling the same as somebody that's wrestled since they were 4.
Yep.
That's the only thing I would say. But Masvidal is a cool guy and one of I think the most well-rounded fighters in the history of the UFC.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I really like him. I just the UFC hype machine has definitely helped him along.
Yeah.
In this, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So
Who you got in that one?
I would love to see Jorge win, but I just think Colby's an animal. I feel like the only person. Well, I would love to see Khamzat versus Colby.
I'm so excited for that guy to get up in the higher rank.
Me too.
He is a nut. He wants to fight everybody, and he's not lying.
Yeah.
He'd fight Francis Ngannou tomorrow. You know he would.
Yeah. I don't know how he makes.
Burns called him out. Gilbert Burns. I think that'd be a sick fight.
Yeah, that would be a good fight.
Big step up for him.
Yeah, huge. Huge. But I think, Gilbert's good on the ground, but watching Gilbert in the last fight, and he does tire out.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't drop Khamzat, I don't think he catches him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his jiu-jitsu, because Gilbert's sick on the ground. He's a world champion, but I just think Khamzat's a different beast.
Dude, me too. I don't know how he makes welterweight. He's like 6'2". He probably walks around 205.
Well, he's crazy. He
looks crazy.
He wants to eat your liver.
And he's got that fucking hair lip that just makes him more scary.
He's a beast. I wouldn't want to fight him, I'll tell you that.
So, that's perfect. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, dude, thanks, man. This is fun. You're doing a great job.
Hell yeah. Yeah, got done with the LA trip. Glad that shit's over. I didn't go out any of the nights partying. I was getting over the sickness. Sugar went out. He went fucking real hard, and now he's paying for it, and I don't regret going out one bit. But LA, that's a different city. It's just all these influencer kids. This is like, I don't know. I don't like it. It's good that we live in Peoria, Arizona, or in Sun City, where the old folks live. There's nothing going on ever. There's no chicks within lots of miles.
I think if you just went over to Scottsdale, you'd be fine, or to Tempe.
Yeah, I'm glad we live away from that, for sure.
I think you could find some trouble over there if you were interested in it.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thanks for watching, you guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks again. Peace.
You're the man, too.